Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
First up, we're going to talk about Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau kind of talked about how the Mandalorian movie will handle crossovers and building out their mythology. Sounds like a lot, I know.
I thought there was a mythology that this guy
They want to build it out.
I think his name is George Lucas. I thought he kind of started something at one point. Some movies from forever ago.
Well, they do have a lot going on. This is supposed to be some sort of a big culmination event, right? For the movie?
I think so.
It's going to have Book of Boba Fett characters. It's going to have Ahsoka characters.
You mean Boba Fett and Fennec?
What if the mod kids need to be in it?
No, God, don't even.
Or Cobb Vanth.
Okay, Cobb Vanth is fine.
Ahsoka characters, Skeleton Crew characters, Mando characters, and you were clamoring for Luke.
Han, Leia, Lando,
yeah,
Chewie,
you wanted
R2,
them.
3PO. Why don't you just make it
You're
about
asking
them?
for a lot, but
Why don't we just do that movie?
because they're not really involved.
They travel to
in
the world between worlds to
more
stop
for
this horrible future from happening. What? It sounds like a good idea.
I'm just saying there was a lot of characters that they're playing around
Yes.
with here, which isn't always great.
Well, the big problem is not everybody who watches this movie is going to know anything about the mandoverse. Like, even Grogu. I mean, they probably know who Grogu or Baby Yoda is, and they've probably heard the names, but for all you know, they've never seen any of it. I mean, Star Wars movies, they capture a large audience, obviously, and not necessarily the Disney Plus shows do. I'm not saying they don't capture a big audience, but you know what I'm saying? There's going to be a ton of people who go to this movie who have never seen anything Mandoverse related.
That's very true, because they want to see Star Wars.
Yeah, because Star Wars is a theatrical event to them. Your parents would be probably good examples. We've gone to see the movies with them, but they don't watch Disney Plus stuff.
Not really, no. Filoni kind of revealed that he and Favreau are figuring out how this library of characters is going to intersect, that they've had plans for a big event like this for some time. Filoni has said, I think it's going to be a clamoring of characters saying, how do I get in this picture? And that's what John and I have been figuring out.
Ooh, pick me.
See, but that's a problem too, isn't it?
Yes, because you should write the story, and if they fit, they fit.
Well, when you had the original trilogy, you followed 3 characters.
Han, Luke, Leia, yeah. Who should
pretty
be,
much exclusively,
in
with
this.
a couple of big bad guys, and then, generic little bad guys.
Yeah.
When you have such a huge, vast amount of characters, you don't want it to turn into Cameo Fest or have so much going on that you lose your story.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have like 20-some characters in this thing, like, it's not Endgame. It's not Infinity War where you've had 20 movies before building up to it, where there should be an expectation to some degree that people are going to know the movie characters in this. It's a little different.
Something that you really have to balance carefully. Think about Civil War. It really focused on Cap and Iron Man.
It was Captain America Civil War versus kind of Iron Man. Yeah, that was the central
They
conflict.
were the main focus, and they brought in a good amount of characters, but not too many. When you move into Infinity War and Endgame, you did a lot of bouncing around, which can sometimes make it feel slow if you have to set up what a bunch of different groups are doing to get to the event that brings them all together.
Yeah, though I will say Infinity War did a phenomenal job.
Oh, of course.
Nevertheless, yeah. Endgame, less so, I think.
Right, I'm just saying it's a very delicate balance to try and hit that. So they have to be cautious. Not to mention, as you pointed out, those characters all became huge on the big screen for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much all of them. I mean, that was even before Disney Plus, so. So they were all kind of... And I think they kind of became... Yeah, they all kind of everybody kind of knew who Iron Man... Even if you really had only seen a couple of the movies, you knew Iron Man, Thor, Spider-Man, Cap... You knew the big ones. You got the gist of it anyway.
Well, and even Spider-Man debuting in Civil War. Everyone knows who Spider-Man is.
Exactly.
We didn't need to have his own movie beforehand. Everyone knows Spider-Man.
You have a huge advantage there. I mean, if you go to the average person and say, Fennec Shand, they're going to look at you like, huh?
People are like, why do we care who that bounty hunter over there is? Because I want to see Boba Fett. But, you really have to cherry pick it down to go, duh, Boba Fett is a must.
Yeah. Boba Fett is a name, obviously.
He's an absolute name. He needs to be in there no matter what.
Yeah.
But then you start mixing in people that they don't know.
Yeah, Cobb Vanth.
You can probably sneak in Ahsoka, of course.
Outside the core fandom know that name.
Because she'll at least have a main name and she's been in so many things. But then you're like, okay, let's bring in obscure Mandoverse characters. Okay, And let's bring in all the skeleton crew. And let's bring in that pirate who survived. And let's bring...
Yeah, Sabine and Ezra. I
Yeah,
mean,
they've
if you
got the
don't
whole
watch
Ghost crew
Ahsoka
and everything,
series or
too.
seen Rebels, are you going to know who they are when they, inevitably show up in this?
It's just such a tough balancing act that I worry about their movie. I worry about that more than I worry about, like, James Mangold's, because he's writing totally whatever, off the books, brand new characters. It's its own thing.
I mean, I'm half joking when I say if the technology is there, if the AI technology is there to use Han, Luke, and Leia. I mean, because at least, pretty much anybody knows who they are.
Absolutely.
And would be kind of excited to see them maybe after not getting what they thought they'd get out of them in the sequel trilogy. I mean, I know there are going to be people, oh, don't touch them, you've ruined them enough. I get that argument too, but if you really want this movie to be potentially digestible to the large audience, I think you actually do consider using those characters.
I mean, Favreau has even gone on there talking about how George Lucas was heavily inspired by Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces. That is the core inspiration for so many stories because it's solid.
It always works, yeah.
It is. And he says things like, when you're getting deeper into this, you have to really map things out and figure out what the story is. And then have those characters fulfill what their growth cycle is. And their mythic hero's journey. That's always been George Lucas's base. He was a student of Joseph Campbell. How does it fit into the narrative that has the hero's journey? And so as we have more characters lined up, you have to figure out how those characters are arcing, and it feels ultimately like a Star Wars story.
Yeah, you kind of pointed out before, if you watch the original trilogy, there's not a ton of characters in there.
Honestly, even if you watch the sequel trilogy, what did they do? They stuck with 3 main heroes. They got a little wonky, but we're not getting into that.
No, they really did.
Go back to the prequels. We had pretty much 3 main characters.
Always 3 there are.
Because it works.
It does work,
and you have enough time to develop those 3 characters and to give them each a hero's journey arc in a way.
Well, in some of the trilogies they did that.
Okay. But even in Rogue One, you've got your main characters going on a...
there, or 6.
No, they stuck that pretty small too in Rogue One.
Well, it was mostly Cassian
and Cassian.
Yeah.
Then you can add in Baze Chirrut. They were side characters. But the main hero's journey was those 2.
Yeah.
Stuck with a small group, but you gave them a nice foundation.
Well, yeah, I think that's the key. You're going to have to pick which characters are going to be which 1 or 2 are going to be your main characters in this, and the others are going to have to kind of be on the periphery a little bit.
Right. So how do you narrow down the Mandoverse?
It's got to be Din, right? If you're
not
going to go...
It's got to be Din, Boba, and Ahsoka?
Well, it's got to be Din. Din first. Din and Grogu.
Din and Grogu.
Right? I mean, that has to be the obvious one, and then Boba Fett and Ahsoka feel pretty much like they would round out a kind of a main 3. Mm-hmm. At this point, anyway, we don't know. Things could, I suppose, change in the next couple of years.
But that's so hard because we have no idea where they're planning on taking the Mandoverse, because now they're in the point where Dave Filoni, they've slated off Mando right now. In season 3, it kind of felt like an end point, and now everything is going to be moving towards this movie, is what I feel like.
Yeah, we don't even know that season... I mean, it sounds crazy, but we don't even know that season 4 of The Mandalorian will be about the Mandalorian, about Din Djarin.
It's very odd, because we know that it is written. Favreau has written it.
You sound like an Ugnaught. It is written.
And there's been a recent interview with the actor who plays Carson Teva, who says Disney hasn't renewed it yet. They haven't renewed season 4. I mean, he said that they took a while meandering about to renew season 3 as well, that they just don't renew instantly most of the time. Yeah. So that's not a huge deal, but it's written, but what is it doing? We all are waiting on our edge of our seats here because these next shows have to set us up on a path to a movie, don't they?
Yeah, because it's not like we're going to have like 3 or 4 more seasons of The Mandalorian. Season 4 is probably the last one into the movie, right? As long as that movie isn't more than...
Depends on how far out the movie is.
I mean, at 3 or 4 years away, right?
Because honestly, I think you'd want one of the series that leads into it to end maybe a month and a half, 2 months before the movie debuts.
Yeah. And to be the main setup piece for that
because
movie.
They need enough time to market the movie.
Without it being reliant on seeing that main setup piece, of course.
Yeah, that's where it's going to be tricky as well.
It is. It's not easy.
I feel like that's what Thrawn would get saved for. But it's hard to say. Would they make up a different threat for the movie so the movie has its own...
Potentially, the Grisk is not an impossibility. The remnants of the Empire under Thrawn, something... I mean, I don't think it's going to be the Grisk, honestly. For those who don't know, that's kind of been the villain in the Thrawn trilogy.
Well, it could be the Night Sisters, because you got to have fancy VFX.
Force users, yeah. Something.
You need to have the things on the screen that make everyone go, wow! And Night Sister magic could do that.
It could. It could, I mean, look
Or
what they've
light
done
system.
with Marin and Survivor and Fallen Order. It's a totally kind of different twist and take on the...
It is.
And the Night Sisters in Clone Wars, too, don't get me wrong, and elsewhere. But you definitely see it more visually, especially in Survivor. You see what she's capable of. It could be interesting.
So I know there's still a ways to go, clearly, until this movie. Just hearing Filoni remarking about how people are going to be, his characters are clamoring to get in, makes me nervous because I think you can't overload it.
No, you can't. I definitely don't think you can because, again, these are going to be a lot of brand new characters to people. Not everybody, of course. There's going to be a lot of people who know every single character and all that. But you will have... You're going general audience with a Star Wars movie. You better keep that in mind.
All right. Let's move on to crazy rumors I've heard.
Oh, boy.
First up, like the day that Star Wars Visions Volume 2 came out, there's a rumor going out there that says the third volume is already in development.
Cool. That's a good rumor.
It is. I mean, they would if they're going to put one out, let's say not next year, but the year after, because I feel like this is a 2-year thing. I don't know why.
No, the first one was last year, early.
You're right, it was. It was last year.
Yeah.
So they would need to get a good head start on it because animation studios obviously need plenty of time to write, draw, do all of their magic.
Or was it late the year before? It's so many years go by too quickly.
It's hard to say exactly.
Yes.
But One Take News has stated that multiple sources say that they're already moving forward on Visions Volume 3.
That's awesome.
But we don't know which studios are involved, but there is an indication that multiple studios have already started work. Well, that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do the world tour again or if they'll be more specific or...
Well, not even that, but Jeff Schneider, who's an independent reporter, also said that. So we've got multiple sources now. And then I heard another crazy rumor.
Well, the first one wasn't crazy.
No, that wasn't crazy. You want to hear the crazy one, though? Okay.
I feel like we're going to anyway, so...
All right, so this comes out of somebody who used to do a lot of work with making Star Wars.
This is already sounding sketchy, but continue.
Making Star Wars was right about the Beskar.
You mean the website or what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you said just somebody who's been known for making Star Wars.
No.
That's a lot of people over the years.
They were correct about some of their information and their leaks. Okay. There's a rumor out there now that once Bad Batch final season is done airing, another animated series is coming. And it will be a long-form animated series, meaning they're going after hour-long episodes instead of 30-minute ones. Wait. Now, this is way out in the future, but the rumor is that development on it has already begun.
It probably has because they are always, with animation, they're like a year in advance because it takes so long.
I just want to know what it could be about, what time period they're going to set this in. I mean, they've opened up so much a big space in the timeline. They've expanded it.
Do you continue Clone Wars story, Clone Wars Bad Batch, into something else? I mean, related?
They've also rumored that Dave Filoni is not involved, but he's not involved in the Bad Batch anymore either, so...
Not really directly.
No. I mean, they could do some sort of High Republic thing. They could move and they could do Luke, Leia, and Han in a long-form animated thing.
Or sequel trilogy era. I said it, not because I want it, but because it's possible.
Or something to take place maybe leading up to the new movie that they're making.
That's not impossible, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that you could do with an hour-long animated show, which also could imply one of these visions that we've wanted more of, too. Let's not forget that. It doesn't have to be something canon that they're making. We all wanted at least one volume or episode of Star Wars Visions to carry on. What if this is the...
It could be.
What if this is the ninth Jedi in full form?
It's not impossible. I don't know that it's likely, because I feel like it's going to be the same team that did Clone Wars is probably just going to move, or Bad Batch is going to move on to whatever is next.
It could very well be. That's unfortunately the only news I have on that right now.
Yeah, that's a rumor, but that's also at the same time something that kind of feels obvious. If they're going third season of Bad Batch, that means, this will be the third season of, not including Clone Wars season, 7. This will be the third season of an animated show, which means they feel like they're getting their money's worth out of them, if you will.
Well, they've done really well. They've been well loved.
That's what I'm saying. So why would you stop something that has been well loved and is getting you subscriptions or keeping viewers, whatever? It's,
I just like the idea of them saying long form, because that means they're finally going to break away with this attention span of 25, 26 minutes to make it like it was going on network TV.
Yeah, I don't need any other details, but hearing that is good news, because I do think they should break away from beholding themselves to that 25-minute mark for no reason, essentially.
Yeah, but that's the crazy rumors I've heard.
It's not crazy. None of them were crazy.
Hey,
but
I get some crazy rumors.
Oh,
I can't tell you anything that's going to be factually true yet. These are rumors.
I get a lot of crazy rumors. My
But
inbox is always interesting.
I just wanted to share.
When I remember to read my emails. Sorry, all who send me emails that I never respond to. Hey, I try. I do. But anyway, that's going to be all we got for this time. So now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think about the Filoni-verse movie, or tell us what you think about these crazy rumors. Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.